Hello and welcome to episode 24 of the Pop Shock podcast. My name is Dan and I'm joined by the buzzing, beautiful Christopher.
I'm fabulous. Dan, you've got a Bowie t-shirt on, so I'm just, you're a god in my world at the moment. I'm bowing down.
Oh, it's a bit bowing.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought what
Did you not realise? Yeah, that
I kind of forgot what that t-shirt I had on until you pointed it out. But yeah, I thought I'd worn this t-shirt on the podcast before, but who knows for that. I've got other Bowie t-shirts and I get them mixed up. Right, we're not talking Bowie though. We'll do our Bowie episode another week. Today, so the reason, I don't know if you can tell with my voice, but the reason that I'm a wee bit kind of dejected, we peeked behind the curtain. We already recorded episode 24. We'd done that last week, and it was a brilliant episode. It was me, Chrissy, and Jared. The banter was flowing. It was quality, man. You missed a pure laugh. But
it smelled like quality.
It smelled amazing, man. You can smell it through the screen. You can almost taste it. So the audio didn't record though. You might be able to smell it and hear it and see it, but you can't. No, sorry. You might be able to taste it and smell it and see it, but you can't hear it because the audio didn't record for some reason. So. Yeah. We're back again to do episode 24 again. But do you know what? We decided before it, we're like, because the last week we talked about the Ant-Man trailer and the Guardians Christmas trailer, and we were like, and Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, and we were like, do we come back and talk about all that shit again and kid on that we're all like enthusiastic? And I was like, well, no, why would we do that? Who cares? So that's just not going to get spoken about on the podcast because we done it and you didn't hear it. So yeah, guess what? This week there's no news. Is that not refreshing? What a twist! But you would expect news. There's nothing. I mean, there's a few minor things that happened, but see if any of them are important. Either you'll have heard them somewhere else or another podcast, or we will talk about them later on at some point. Do you know what I mean? These are important. We'll get to them, or you'll hear them somewhere else. Like, don't worry about it.
You don't come here for your news, man.
No. You come here for the stellar, unique opinions of the panel of experts, obviously.
The weird
the weird nerds that talk shit every week and you're for some reason coming and listening to us. Anyway, so yeah, instead we're doing a quick roundup of what you've been watching, what you've been listening to, what you've been reading, and then we're going to jump into the topic and our topic because we didn't do a topic last week, or maybe the week before, I can't remember. So we feel like it's topic time. Topic time. So for topic time this week, I'm going to start calling that. For topic time this week, we're going to do the best, maybe the best and worst, but some of the best fan theories from like movies and TV. We're going to bring them in here and talk about them, and it's going to be nice and fun and stuff. So yeah, we'll get to that. But first, we're going to do what you've been watching, what you've been listening to, what you've been up to. Chris, what I want to ask you about first, and go into whatever else you want after. But you mentioned that you got Gotham Knights and you were playing through it. You spoke about this last week, as I said, it didn't record, but you did tell me about it. Where are you with it now? Has it getting better?
Oh, I have reflected from our last conversation. I was raging at the first time.
I enjoyed it. That was nice. I like coming in hot.
I have grown. I have matured over that week. No, it's still disappointing.
Yeah.
But like, see, to be honest, it's an okay game. Like, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Like,
it's an okay game, but I wouldn't play it if I was you. Okay.
I don't like crapping on something that's just shite. But
so when you say you wouldn't recommend it to anyone, does that mean that whether you're a fan of the Arkham games or not, you won't like this? Like, if you're a fan of the Arkham games, is it worth playing, or would it just piss you off more because you know the Arkham games are better?
Yeah, like,
is that the problem?
In my mind, anyway, when I played it, I was like, well, the stuff that came before it was so much at high quality.
Yeah.
And you could see, even when you replayed them, like, I've replayed Arkham Asylum after this, and it was clunky, but again, that was like 10, 12 years old. You know,
I played it like last year, just before I got. It was one of the last games I played before I got my PS5, and I loved it. Seeing back to it,
it's so good.
It's so well designed. See the way the maps designed, like the kind of coming and going through different doors, and then you open up other areas, and it's so clever, man. I love that game.
It kind of like I know we always refer like Resident Evil 2 is a fucking benchmark in this podcast, but it does feel like that. You feel like you're contained. You're always backtracking. You know,
Metal Gear Solid is another benchmark in this podcast, which does the same thing. Yeah.
But like it's that's what it is. It's like you're building familiarity in the world. So
yeah, I believe it's referred to as a Metroidvania in the gaming industry.
Oh,
that's what they call it.
That's very posh.
It's not really. It's just because Metroid and Castlevania were the two. Remember the 2D Metroid and Castlevania games? They were the first two to do that. So that's just why it became a Metroidvania.
Just merged together.
Yeah, just stole the name.
But like, see, one thing I always compare it to GTA 5. Like they want to do these multiple character stories. It would see if they'd done it as Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin as a single story and single games. That's 4 games. You could do something interesting in their different worlds and not make it so boring.
Well, I like to be even looking for a word, boring. But I agree. I actually think there's something to that thing you said last week, which again nobody else heard. But you mentioned that it might have worked better as like an episodic release. So like across 4 months, you could get a chapter. So like first time you're getting Batgirl, and then you get Robin, and then you get you go through the 4 of them.
It would have been it would have been so much better there because it's an RPG. It's a grinding system, and like you just feel like I picked Red Hood, so I just stuck with him the whole game, and I didn't really experience. Because I did actually change to Batgirl and Nightwing just to see what they do.
Yeah.
But because I was at such like a high level, like say level 20, and all those characters were at
there's no temptation to go for another character because why would you?
Because you're supposed to choose the knight like to replace Batman, so you're working up this guy to be the best he can be. And it just felt like, see, even the Batgirl's glide, like she was the only one that could kind of glide like Batman and the Arkham Knights. It just didn't feel right. It felt awful.
Right. Okay.
Even though Arkham Knight gets a bad rap, the city felt even alive a little bit. Even though you were crashing through walls and stuff, like knocking people down and stuff, it felt alive. This just felt like a sandbox where it was just empty with AI walking down. It didn't feel alive.
Right, okay.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I have seen a side by side of Arkham Knight and Gotham Knights, and it's like there are 7 years between these 2 releases, and Arkham Knight looks so much better. Like just graphically, just with the rain and the lighting and the textures, like Arkham Knight looks and like so much better than this game, and it's like, how is this game 7 years and a full console generation newer than that game, and yet that looks better? It's insane.
Also, like I think they dropped news just before it was released, like it was stuck at 30 frames per second, and like I don't really care about that, but like I don't notice the difference because I'm working on a very old machine. So
are you playing PC, Chris?
I'm playing on PC, but I think my graphics card's like 4 years old, so it's like even more than that, so it's not even. It probably can't. It's at the level that can keep up, but it's struggling.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the graphics in this, even the rain texture, like, see, it didn't even feel. It just felt like an empty city. Right. See if they'd done something like in a kind of like cloud, even like a cloud element where you couldn't see where you like the city in the future. You know, it felt like, I don't know if I just disabled my graphics.
Turned the field of vision down.
The field of vision and the shadows down.
The draw distance,
The draw distance. So, but I mean, I believe the guys wanted to do the best that they could do. Like, and I know it came from Arkham Origins, so and that's saying something if it's from the same studio. And they basically had the model there, and they could just play with it. But you know, I mean, I bought the £69 or the £70 version of the game, and it wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
like, you got you just got skins. I mean, I'm a fanboy of any Arkham game, so I buy it. But stay away from it. Waste your time. Like with the quality that came before it, it's really not. It felt like it looked like a lack of effort. Even though the people that did it are probably well qualified and stuff like that, I believe it was just it was a title. It was a disaster title.
Oh, Jesus.
But have you seen anything on it? Have you played it or?
So I've not played it.
I
There
know you've looked at side by sides, but
there's a review on Fandom Wire for it that one of the other boys did at the site, but I've not played it, and it's one of the ones because I've got so much to play now. I'm kind of not bored about it. I'm like, seeing the new year when I'm like, hopefully a bit quieter with my reviews and stuff. I'll get round to it, and it'll probably be on sale. Like I'll get it for like 30 quid or something. Like I'll buy it then. Like I'll wait. I'll just wait for a sale. I'm not bothered.
It's one of those games that I knew when it got announced. I was like, oh, it's going to have a tough time, and I removed that element of, oh, it's no Batman. I'm going to go and buy it. I was like, I'm committed to buying it. Give the guys a chance.
Yeah.
And it was just a kind of lackluster thing. So, but one thing I've noticed, like on the day when I bought it, it was about 30,000 people playing it.
Right.
I just looked up there, and it's only got 5,000 people playing it.
Holy shit!
So
that's some drop.
That's just on PC, so maybe it's better on console. But I mean, I would see if you are a Batman fan or anything like that, if you're interested in the whole ethos and stuff, it drops some bombs there, but the whole story is predictable as hell. Like, if you're familiar with it in any way, you're like, oh, that's a new character you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw that coming. Like, it was like that. But
so the thing about have you finished it? Yeah, have you finished the campaign?
Yeah, I finished it. Yeah.
So the thing about PC gaming, right? I'm kind of, I guess, somewhat of a convert. Like, I was never really against PC gaming, but like, I only recently got a gaming PC like a couple of years ago and stuff. And now, like, when I review stuff, I do some on PC, some on PS5, and it's fine to go between the two. But see, with recent releases, something that I never really noticed before I had a gaming PC. Everybody always goes on about how PC is like the best way to play a game and stuff, and if you want the best graphics and whatever, it's the best. Right? And I agree. Like I've played when I got a new graphics card and played a few games. Like what I remember when my pals were playing Warzone together with me, I was playing it on PC, and see when I would go up to like Robo Randy's house and look at theirs, I was like, oh my god, this is how you see it. Like this looks much worse than. Do you know what I mean? Like you just get used to it. You just take it for granted. Like obviously because it looks better on PC, but. See AAA games on release, they're always broken on PC. Like they're not always, but a lot of the time they're not. Like the PS and Xbox versions are more playable and more stable. Like I've not played Gotham Knights, but I've heard Gotham Knights runs worst on PC out of all the consoles that you can get it on all the platforms. Like I don't think it's like unplayable, but you get the most like glitches and crashes on PC.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Again, PC, apparently, like some of the campaign, it's just unplayable, like glitches and just certain things. Whereas I never had any of those problems on PlayStation.
That's another thing. Yeah, even when I was in Xbox 360, guy, like I never had any like errors or anything. I never even heard of any errors in games. You know, unless you were doing a glitch. You know, like you were deliberately doing it. I never actually encountered any actual problems. But as soon as I jumped to PC. Especially if you are getting the kind of first release, the ports are quite dodgy. Like, it's weird. Like,
it's the same because these games are obviously being developed on PCs. Like game development happens on PC, but I think these companies are so like because the majority of buyers, I guess, are console buyers. Like PlayStation, Xbox owners make up more of the audience than PC owners. So really, that's who they're trying to make their game for, and then PC is just like a kind of second, like.
I know, like,
do you know what I mean?
Kind of. I don't even know. Like, I've not really touched any console gaming in about 5 or maybe more than that 5 years now since I got this.
Right.
So it's like but the interesting thing about PC, you've got all these added benefits. You can add like modifications, and like you can bring in skins and stuff like that. If you don't really like what the hell it is, you can't do any of that necessarily. I don't know now, but maybe in PS5 or that you maybe can. I don't know.
No, not never. It's never going to be to the same extent. Like not to the same extent as you can on. Nah, it's not the same. That's not the same at all. I don't know. I think for PC gaming. Me now, like if I wasn't reviewing games, I wasn't getting games for free or games in advance, I would be waiting if I was playing something on PC, I'd be waiting and like purposely any release, doesn't matter how excited I am, wait a couple of months until you know it's playable. Like I wouldn't buy it on release if I didn't have a PlayStation and I was just on PC and I wasn't like reviewing games. I wouldn't buy anything when it came out because why would you?
Yeah.
Like look at Cyberpunk.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like why would you? Like
God,
do you know what I mean?
That's a landmark.
You wait like 4 or 5 months and then you're like, right, okay, I can jump in. There's been a patch, there's been an update, like something's been fixed. I don't know.
Even the Spider-Man one was a really well port, and it got released. I think
Yeah.
it was in August.
Yeah.
And on that, I had like a couple. It was just like crashes. It just like
Oh,
turned
really?
off the game completely. And I was like, all right, okay. But then it was like you just jump on and start again. It wasn't a.
Yeah.
And then remarkably, you're at the same spot you were. You're not like 7 missions behind. So
Yeah.
like that was a lucky one. But Gotham Knights, I did have a lot of crashes within that, like, and I probably just forgave it. Like I'm used to it now. I'm like, oh well, I'll go and make a cup of tea and I'll come back and I'll load up.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
But like,
I get what you're saying by being used to it because you do kind of become desensitized, but we shouldn't be desensitized. Like you're paying a lot. Like we pay our hard-earned money to, and it's not a cheap hobby. Gaming, like it costs a lot of money, and do you expect shit to work? Do you know what I mean? Like at the very least, you want shit to work, and I don't know.
It's kind of weird how it is, like in the fact of it's been like these games probably take. I remember Gotham Knights was at least announced when Gotham Knight was actually announced, like or like a year after. So that's been about maybe couple of years. I don't know, but I remember they were mentioning it like it was around that time that we're doing another game, but it's not in this universe. But
well,
like, 5 years is enough to do, at least to make sure the thing works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's the same thing though. Like I know that we keep saying like we're praising the Arkham games over the Gotham Knights, but you need to remember Arkham Knight when that came out on PC, it was so broken, it was unplayable.
That was destroyed. That was awful.
So like it's been happening for ages.
It's a weird kind of phenomenon of like people. It's like now it's just happened for ages that's just the bog standard that's the basic expectation we get when we walk into a game now. It's not like, oh, we're going to fix it because it's happened, and it happened colossally on Cyberpunk 77.
Yeah.
So it's not changed, and the developers don't really seem like they give a crap. Like
no.
They just go, oh yeah,
it depends on who.
We'll get a patch. We'll get a patch, and that'll be it sorted.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah,
I'm telling you, it's the big ones, it's the AAA ones. Like, see what I'm saying? I should also specify that, actually. See what I'm saying about games not working on PC? I'm specifically talking about AAA releases, like Batman games and COD games. See, like, small indie games, stuff that I've been reviewing for the site, like, I've not had any. See that game Cultic, the very first one I got. It's made by one guy, right? It's made by one boy. Done all the like animation himself, all the programming, everything. It runs perfectly. There's no glitches. There's no crashes. Like, how can one guy? I know it's a small. Like, it's also not a game on the same level as a COD or a superhero game. But how can one guy make his game work perfectly, and a full like 1,000 people company can't make their game? It's like what? Do you know what I mean?
You might have hit it on the nail there. You might have said because it's like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Communication must be awful. Like
I don't know.
That's insane.
That's how it pisses you off because you're like that. These creators their stuff actually works and it's good. Alright, nobody knows who they are and nobody's heard of their game, so that's why they're only charging like £20 for it. So you pay £20 for a thing and it's really fun and it works, and then you pay £70 for something that is grinding and doesn't work. And you're like, what is going on? There's something wrong here. Like, I don't know.
No, like I think the indie market is coming back. I mean, it kind of was down in COVID. Like, see, for the past like 3 years, it's kind of been slow because games now take longer to do stuff. It's not just you can't just play a Slender Man and people jump on board.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, it does take longer to do AAA games. But if that's happening with one guy, do you know how long it took him to do it? Did he?
I think he. Oh God, he has actually spoken about it. I think it took him about 5 years, 4 5 years. But I think he was like he's only like 30, so I think he was like he left uni and then he was like, right, I'm going to start this, and then he's just been doing it for like 5 years himself, and that's it. So good on him.
There you go. He's got that on his CV. You can say,
exactly.
I've made
oh mate, I'm not even like I don't have any reason to say this. Like, it's not as if he's like I know his pal, I don't know him or anything, I will check out whatever else that guy makes because that game was just fun. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, I review games and I just want to have fun playing them, and that was fun. So see whatever he makes next, I'll be playing it. Like, whether I get it for review or not, I'll check it out. Like, 100%. And that's what the audience is looking for. That's all people want. Like, that's all gamers or whatever. Or people, even like films are the same. Like, people just want to enjoy themselves. Like, these big studios overthink it with other microtransactions and their online co-op and their whatever other bullshit they're spouting. It's like, just all it needs to be is fun. That's all we want. It's to come in for. That's all gaming should be. Come in for a long day at work, sit in your arse and enjoy yourself for a couple of hours. Whether it's with your pals on a game or whether it's just yourself, like, that's all you want out of gaming. Like, it doesn't need to be. I don't know. Like, people overthink it. Definitely.
I know, like it's weird. Like, I remember like when we were playing in the PS2 era, like there was games coming out every like maybe 6 months, and it was always just random. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't really plugged into much of that, but I would just go into the game shop and pick a new game up that I've not seen.
I miss that. I miss nowadays, especially because I'm mostly like writing about games. I'm kind of up to date with industry and stuff. I know I've written about a game before it comes out, whereas I miss the days of like, do you remember just walking out the game shop with your dad or whatever, and you just see a cover and you'd be like, that looks cool. That guy with a big gun looks cool. I'm going to buy, and you wouldn't know what it was. You would just, it was like a $5 or like a $10, and you'd be like, I'll have that, and then you just take it up the road, and you get like, I remember the game used to do like the pre-owned section, and it was like 3 for a tenner, or like no, it was like 3 for 30, so it was like a tenner a game. And you just picked 3 games, and like 2 of them would be good, and 1 of them would be utter shite. But you had no way of knowing until you took it home and played it. Like, aye, I miss those days.
Do you think that's like looked down upon? I think like I don't know. I've not got any reason of saying this, but like in my mind, like that was our thriving areas. If we'd get pre-owned games and stuff like that, I would never really get an actual brand new game unless I saved up for it.
Yeah.
But like now, I think people would say, oh. I mean, there's not really any place actually to buy a pre-owned game unless it's physical.
So see now, my mentality is like, there's certain releases every year that come out. Like I'll look for like Red Dead Redemption 2 or like God of War's coming out now. There's certain kind of flagship titles like Spider-Man that I will buy on day one new. Maybe I won't pre-order it because there's kind of no point pre-ordering it, but I'll buy it new at some point. I'll give the developers all my money and I'll enjoy the game for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it takes me. And I'm fine with that. But I'm aware, because I'm more aware of how the industry works, see if there's a company that are doing something dodgy that I don't agree with, I will go out my way to buy their game. Like if they're doing something I don't like, but I want to play their game, see if you buy it pre-owned, they don't get any of the money. The money all goes to the game shop. So see if you go to game and you buy something pre-owned, the developers get none of your money. It all goes to the game shop. So see if there's a company like Konami is basically who I'm thinking of, right? But whoever it is you don't like, if it's EA or Activision or scummy, like they're not scummy, right? But like Ubisoft, whoever you've got a problem with, if you don't want to support them, but you still want to play like the new Watch Dogs or the new, I don't know, Spider-Man or whatever, you can go and buy that pre-owned and like not support what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And like it's a bit shit. I used to think that was shit because these people work hard and crunch, and it's a hard job. Like it's not right. It's a stressful job. It's not like a manual job, but mentally it's stressful. And not buying a pre-owned game means that they're not getting any money, and that's a shame. But see, now that I know where the money goes and the type of people that run these companies, I'm like, no, I'm not getting you my money. Like I've kind of flipped now, and I'm like, because I used to be an animator, I was like, dog, your animators all the money and all that. And now I'm like, nah, man, these companies are scum. Better in my pocket than theirs kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting better as I get older, but I don't know.
No, I definitely have. I've definitely noticed that now. Like even when I was younger, I would just buy every game now, but now the game is now connected to what I see in it. Like it's not like, oh, I'll just buy it for just the fun of it. I'm like, oh, what does this say about me? But yeah, you're telling your bias to the games now. But it's one of those things. Like even like one thing I'm really waiting for is bloody Battlefront 3. Like that was in production. You can see Steve with the Star Wars Battlefront thing. You can see that on YouTube. It's like a full-fledged game,
right?
And it's new. Like that was in like almost finished, and they got cut, or I think the studio was liquidated or something.
The thing.
And then EA took over, and it's like, well, you had the template there, made that game, and you would have been beloved. But then EA realized, oh, it's EA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy either which way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
well,
never.
that was a long. That was like
No,
a
that was good. I liked that. It was a
highway to hell.
detour, but I liked that, man. Just absolutely battering the gaming industry. Like, talking about how they're all scum.
That's basically what we do here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, above all else, like these folk are here to earn your money, whether that's through trailers or whether that's through like I don't know, just whatever, like marketing and stuff. They are there to earn your interest and earn your money because that's the thing. The gaming market now it's so oversaturated. Like, what was I was so I was playing one of the games I'm going to talk about that I played for review. It's called The Last Crew, and it's a really subpar Souls-like game. And I'm like, see, in this era where I don't even like Dark Souls, right? I'm not even a fan of like the Souls games, right? It's not my thing. See, in the era where everybody's trying to make their games like Dark Souls, even Star Wars with what was the Jedi thing called? The Fallen Order. Like everybody's trying to make their game like Dark Souls. See, in this era where you can either play like Bloodborne or Elden Ring or whatever, right? The actual From Software games, or you can play like Star Wars: The Jedi one that people liked, even though I didn't. Or you can play like there's loads of good Souls likes out there, right? See, in that era, you cannot release a mediocre one because it'll just get lost, and that's that game, The Last Crew. Like, I appreciate the guys that sent me it for review. Good luck to them. I hope there's an audience. Like, I hope that game finds an audience and stuff. But seeing this. Well, I just think seeing this era, it's not bad. It's all right. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not even like it's just unremarkable. It's so The Last Crew. The main thing that I harped on about in my review was how much I hated the protagonist. See, the guy you play as, he's one of the most insufferable, annoying twats.
If you hate that, then
do you not remember? I don't know if you were reading the chat when I was writing my review, but I actually asked in our group chat. I was like, "What's another word that I can use that's not a swear word to describe this twat?" Like, I was looking for a word like gobshite, but obviously I can't put gobshite in my review, so I'm like, give me another word for gobshite, because, like, honestly, he's the worst. The character called Silver, and he's the whole thing's about like he's crashing this alien planet, doesn't know who he is, doesn't know where he came from, and he's trying to get back to where he came from. But see, when you're playing as this twat, I don't care where he came from, and I don't care if he gets back because I hate him. He's the worst. Like, I hope he dies. Like, that's what I was thinking the whole time. And the game's like, oh, but you can find out who sent you here, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't know. Anyway,
what made you trigger that response? Was it just like immediate onslaught? He was just not likable.
Yes, he's just not likable. He's the most, honestly, his dialogue, and I think the voice actor's doing the best job he can, but he sounds like a. I would imagine this is what people that go to Oxford speak like Oxford Uni. He's like a Glasgow Uni prick, but he's English. Do you know what I mean? He's got that like sense of superiority and that hoity-toity, like kind of, and he sounds like a Tory, basically, right? He sounds like one of the Tory party. He sounds like Boris Johnson's red boy, right? He's just a pure. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting political now. He's the worst. So. Aye, and then just the game's writing's not great. Like, some of it's good, some of it's actually quite witty and quite clever and quite funny, and some of it's pure just annoying. Do you know what I mean? Just irritating. Like, I don't know, it's up and down. Spoilers for review. I scored it a 4. I gave it a 4 at the end of the day. So, like, again, not the worst, not the best. Just, are you going to play a 4 out of 10 Souls like? No, of course you're not going to. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's over ambitious. It tries to do more than it. Do you know what I mean?
See, that's one thing. Like, I know with Dark Souls, I played it very vaguely. I played the first one and I couldn't even get past like the middle of the levels. but it was like at that stage where it was a frustrating game, but like it wasn't over complicated. Now these games are like, oh, we'll need to copy this, but we'll need to add our own spin on it and make it even more complicated. Let's add in all these unique abilities. Let's level up these guys. You only get 50 coins and you've got 150 abilities. You choose it wisely. Who gives a shit? There's a big monster. I need to fight him.
Yeah.
And I can't win because he's got all these abilities that I can only roll.
Chip away at. Yeah. It's just like Dark Souls.
Exactly. Pretty much. That's what it is. But like, it's a weird thing. Like, I always was thinking in my mind that we need a good medieval game. But see, when you said that, there, I just looked up the actual title. We're actually oversaturated with just mediocre medieval games.
Yeah,
Now.
yeah.
Like it's like I don't like I heard this a long time ago. I don't know if it might have been from you, but like see Rockstar,
Mm-hmm.
they were in the thoughts of producing a medieval like kind of Red Dead thing.
I might have heard something about this. I think it was me who told you this, but I think I've heard this as well. Yeah.
I've not got any kind of other information on it, but I was like, oh, that would be amazing because in my mind they've got the template of Red Dead, but you know it's Rockstar, so it will be at least somewhat decent.
Mm.
But I'm like, oh, do we really need a medieval game?
Yeah. So
like,
that was just, we'll move on a wee second, but just the last time about that, the last Order Crew, that's its problem. It tries to be, it doesn't know what it wants to be. It tries to be Dark Souls, it tries to be Mass Effect, because it tries to do the thing where like you choose dialogue options and that changes like people's relationships.
No.
So it tries to be Dark Souls, it tries to be Mass Effect, and it also tries to be Skyrim. And it's not as good as any of those games. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, why would you play a game that doesn't know what it wants to be, that's a worse version of 3 better games? It's like, I don't know. Anyway,
well, what nature was it like Skyrim? So aspect dialogue options, Dark Souls because of the fighting.
The combat, it was like Skyrim, just in the sense it was like the loot thing. So it's like you find a good sword and you put it in your chest, and then you can like upgrade it, and then you can like search bodies for loot. And its loot system reminded me of Skyrim a lot. And also the fact that even though it's futuristic, it is sort of like medieval, and there's like talking rats and talking lizards and shit, and there's like dungeons that you can go into. So that stuff was all kind of Skyrim, but yeah. Anyway, I'm just quickly going to go through these because I don't want to drag too much. I'll put links in the description below for all these reviews that I've been writing. So the Last Order Crew, swing and a miss. It's not as good as the things it tries to copy. The Chant is a game that I was looking forward to a while. The Chant is a third-person survival horror-ish. It's about like mental health horror. So it's like this lassie suffers some real life trauma. I can't remember what happens, but like a pal dies or something, right? So she goes to this like retreat, this well-being retreat, which is basically a cult. It's basically like, and I'm not even kidding on here. Have you seen Jared Leto's Instagram? Like, see how Jared Leto's got his own island and he like wears robes and cuts about as if he's Jesus. He does. I'm not. That sounds like a joke. I'm 100% serious.
No way.
Honestly, Google Jared Leto Island or whatever, and you'll get photos of him just thinking he's a god. Like, it's insane. So, really, that's the set of this game, right? The Chant is set on an island like this with a guy cutting about with robes and a beard as if he's like Charles Manson or Jesus Christ or whoever, right? Like cult leader.
A deity.
So
Island.
When you get the problem with the game though, right? It's a double A game that's trying to be a triple A game. Like, it's a small studio. They're trying to be like they're trying to be a bit like Until Dawn, like the Supermassive games, like the Quarry and stuff. And it's not as scary as that. They can't do the horror as well, so it's just a bit goofy. And then they try to be like, I don't know, it's a bit of Stranger Things, because there's this other dimension you can go into called like the Void or something, which is basically the Upside Down. And in the Upside Down, there's these creatures that they're pretty much demogorgons for Stranger Things. Like, they crawl about and then their head opens up, but they're like kind of plants. So it's pretty much just a demogorgon. And I'm like, so it's
just copied.
Aye, they've kind of just ripped off. They've ripped off like Stranger Things, Jared Leto's Instagram, and it's trying to be a bit like, I guess, like Silent Hill, but it's not really as good as Silent Hill. But like with the kind of mental health trauma, like how a lot of stuff you're saying, you don't know if it's in the character's head or if it's actually there. Does a bit of that. But yeah, it's over ambitious. It tries to be more than it is, and that's why I gave it a 6 out of 10. So
I can confirm the Jared Leto deity Jesus
real
is a real thing.
Yeah, it's legit. I know, it's insane, isn't it? It's crazy that he's allowed to just cut a bit like that, and nobody's like that. Like, can you imagine I got famous, right, and I started doing that? I would need to trust my mates like you to be like, listen, you're going too far. You need to get a grip of yourself. You're going weird, mate. Cut the beards and change your clothes. Like, you look like a freak. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I would expect that if any of my, but obviously he's not got that. He must just have people surrounded who are like, yes, Jared, you're amazing. Like, no, you need somebody to slap you down.
they're all wearing white, right? I mean, variations. They're all wearing like white t-shirts. So he's probably said you need to wear white no matter what to
Oh
join
god,
this island.
this cult.
Like, there's a guy just kidding about with like a Marvel image, and he's probably been dragged in. Like, but that's insane. Oh my god, Jared! I know you were weird, but I didn't know you were
Yeah, he's a weird guy. So, and we all
that
know.
game was rubbish.
Yeah.
The chat.
I was going to make an edgy joke there. I was going to be like, we all know how Celebrity Islands end up, talking about Jeff Epstein, but that's a bit dark. Right, let's move on.
Jesus.
So the other thing I mentioned earlier that I was playing was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare.
I didn't write the campaign review, but I did write a piece on. So the Modern Warfare 2 campaign's okay, but it's not as good as the Modern Warfare 1 campaign. And I don't mean the original, I mean the reboot. It's so confusing with COD. But the article's called Two Things That Modern Warfare 2 campaign does better than its predecessor, and one thing it does worse. So it does the graphics better, it's a better looking game. Modern Warfare 2 might be the best. It's the best looking first person shooter I've ever played. Don't know if it's the best looking game I've ever played. That still might be The Last of Us 2. But Modern Warfare 2 is the best looking first person shooter I've ever played. It's beautiful.
The facial recognition is amazing. Like,
it
actually looks like an actual person.
It's stunning. Like, see the performances, the acting, the environmental stuff, the special effects when like explosions go off and all that. It's just, it's visually, it's amazing. So its visuals are good, and its shooting, its actual gunplay, like the feeling of firing a gun feels even better than it. Like, they've already perfected that, I think, but it feels even better in this game. So like those were two.
Heavy?
Yeah, but all the guns, it's weird to say, right? Because also you're just holding a controller the whole time, but it feels like you're holding different guns. Like, see when you change and you're like aiming a shotgun, it just feels different to the machine gun. And even the different types of machine guns or the assault rifles, they all feel different for each other. Like, it's just, their gunplay is amazing. The thing it does worse is the actual story itself. The story is like a shit version of Narcos. Like, it's about the cartel and stuff, and there's kind of, I don't know, it's not very good.
I heard, like, I remember we were talking about this last week. It's like completely, it's not got the same elements as.
It's not a remake. No, it's a reimagine. It's like a reboot. It's not got the same story. It's got the same characters, but.
Is it because, like, I know this is going to spoil it, but is it? I know in the original, Soap and Ghost did actually die from. Did they? Or did they not?
Yeah.
In the original, and in this one they don't.
No, and this one they're still around. Soap wasn't in the last Call of Duty Modern Warfare game.
Was it?
No, so this is the first of the reboots. This is the first one he's in. You play Soap in this one for most of it. No, sorry, I'm talking shite. Is it Ghost? It wasn't in the last one. God, it's been a few years.
Ghost died on Modern Warfare 2.
No, but I don't mean the originals. I mean, so in 2019 they made Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which was a reboot of the original Modern Warfare. And
my god, what the fuck?
I know. So that's honestly, see this article that I wrote. The first half of the article was just me describing what game I'm talking about when I say predecessor, because I'm not talking about the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare that came out in 2004 or 2007, was it? 2007. I'm not talking about Modern Warfare 2, which came out in 2009, which is one we're talking about with like No Russian and all that and stuff. And I'm also not talking about the remasters, because they remastered those games in like 2015, 2016. I'm talking about the reboot, which came out in 2019. Like, they're all called Modern Warfare. So anyway, I wrote that article, and then I also wrote the review for the multiplayer, for the online play from it. So I like them. You can check them out. I'm not going to go into too much, just read the reviews. But for the most part, I like it. WRC Generations is a rally game that I played. Now, we spoke earlier about the good old days where you could just play a game. You know, you just come home and play a game. And I know that we were always complaining about like having to do updates and stuff. This game takes it to a new level. This is the hardest game I have ever. Like, the most bullshit I've had to go through to play the actual game itself. So. You download the game, and that's fine, right? And then you open the game, and then the game asks you to make an account for Nikon or something, which is the name of the publisher of the game. So you need to put in. This is when you're sitting holding the controller. This isn't like on the computer. This is in PS5, right? So you're sitting holding the controller, and it's like, right, put in your email address. And you're like, right, okay. So you put in your email address, and then it asks you to make a password, and then it asks you for your phone number. And then when you press, then you agree to all these terms and conditions, and then when you press agree, it sends you a confirmation email You need to open. You need to put the controller down, pick up your phone, go into an email and accept to confirm it, and then it sends you a text with like a code, and then you need to be like, right, 1 2 3 4, and then you need to put the code into the game, and then eventually it's like, right, now you can play the game, and it's like, who wants to sit for like half an hour and go through all this registration bullshit just to play a racing game? It's like, what a load of on it that right from the get go. I was when I got to play the game, it's all right, it's quite fun, but it's no worth all that. Like, Jesus Christ, do you know what I mean?
I remember that was the old Ubisoft games used to do that. Like they used, I don't know. If
yeah, the Uplay thing. It's like that, but it's actually even worse. Like, honestly, it was abysmal. It was the amount of shit I had to click through just to play the game. Yeah,
because like I'm guessing it might say it takes an hour or something to download, and then you have to go through half an hour of setting up stuff before you actually enter the
honest to
game.
God, man. I see when I'm trying, like, I'm also trying to meet deadlines with these reviews because I've got embargoes. So it's like that game was out. I think that game came out Monday of this week, like the 3rd. No, was it like this? 31st October. It was Halloween. 31st October. So it came out on Halloween. So this is like Sunday. No, it was like Saturday, I think. And I'm like, right, I've got 2 days to play this, and then I need to write my review on Monday, and it's making me do all this shit. I'm like, hurry, get to the point. Like, let me experience this thing so I can write about it. And the game's like, no, there's another screen that you need to accept the T's and C's. And I'm like, and it's one of the ones that doesn't let you just press accept, you need to scroll all the way down. Like, anyway,
no,
it's a nightmare.
No,
anyway, no. I'm probably bringing a podcast down just talking about it. I'm bringing myself down.
Is there any redeeming features from it? No.
Colin McRae's in it. You can play as Colin McRae, and you can drive the classic blue Subaru with the yellow decals, like the rally car. Yeah. You can play as that, so that was nice. I liked that they included that because that's like nostalgic for my childhood, like playing Colin McRae on like PS1 and stuff.
That's the only redeeming factor.
That's it. It's honest. That's my favourite part of the game. I don't know. It might get, and it's one of the games that I can see them updating it and putting new tracks in, putting new cars in. Like, I think they will like make it better. And it's worth playing. It's a fun rally game. It's probably the best new rally game that I've played in years. Because like Colin McRae games have kind of died a death, and like I don't know. It's not the same as it used to be. Like with racing games, it's fun, but it's not worth all that. I scored my first 1 out of 10. My very first 1 out of 10 for Fandom Wire. I've gave ones before for other websites, but my first 1 out of 10 game review for Fandom Wire was for Winter Games 2023. Oh my god! Right, so Winter Games, it tries to be like, or sorry, is it called Winter? Yeah, it's called Winter Games. I can't remember if it's called Winter Games or Winter Sports, but it's called Winter Games. So Winter Games 2023, it tries to be like, now like the Wii games used to get that were like, or like the Olympic games that you get when it's like the Olympics in Beijing and stuff. It tries to be like them, but it's just, you can tell it's been made. It's not been made by like a proper studio. It's been made by like some, I don't know. Like, it's one of the worst. It's one of the graphics. Like, for a game released in 2022, a game with the word 2023 in the title, it's one of the worst looking games I've ever played. Like, in the last 5 years, it's one of the worst looking games I've ever seen. And I'm not normally bothered about graphics. Like, I can play a game with shit graphics and still enjoy it, but this is like distractingly bad. Like, this is like, you'll see a character's face and you'll be like, oh my god, that looks like shit. Like, actually, like, it breaks the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh my Jesus. So this is a wee spoiler for my review if you actually read it, but I started it by saying the first race that I took part in this game is skiing uphill. So like, you start at the bottom of the hill and you have to ski up to the top of the hill and then go down the other side. But see that process of skiing uphill, that describes this whole game. The whole game feels like you're skiing uphill. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're doing the shooting, whether you're doing the, what do you call it, the curling, or even the downhill skiing. It all feels like you're like climbing a mountain. Like, it all feels like a pure task, and none of it's fun. And there's no online co-op. Who makes a sports game and doesn't put online co-op in it? You can't even play it with your, like, even like shitty sports games, you can have fun with your pals. So even if it's like a crappy like basketball game, if you play it with mates, you can have a laugh. Like,
that's the fun bit.
There's no online. You can do couch co-op. You can, if you've got 2 controllers, you can do couch co-op. You can't do any online play. What is the point? Like, honestly. Anyway, 1 out of 10, right? It was one of the ones, when I played it, it was garbage, it looked horrible, it wasn't fun, and you couldn't do online play, so I was like, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. And then when I was actually writing the review, I was like, there is no, now you asked me before about its redeeming qualities, this game has no redeeming qualities. There's nothing good about that game, which is why I was like, that's why it deserves a 1. See if it's got no redeeming qualities, I'm giving it a 1, I don't care.
I've looked at. I've just been on like Steam's library for the
Right.
photos. It looks like old FIFA, like 2010.
Yeah.
Like those the
Yeah.
stands where like
The
the fans would
crowds.
go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Except
yeah,
that's the
it
character
looks
user.
like that.
Except that's not just the crowd. That's the actual character you're playing as. Like that's like people doing the skiing and stuff, and you're like, what is good? Honestly. Anyway, I don't want to
Oh
harp on too much.
no!
So the last game I'm going to talk about is called Do Not Open. This is a preview for a horror game, and it's clever. It's nice. I like it. It's not the smoothest game. It's a wee bit kind of rough around the edges. It's a wee bit indie, but it's a clever concept. So it's like an escape room, but a horror game. So like you play as this guy, it's his own house. I think I think it's going to be kind of like Silent Hill. I think the guy's killed his family. I'm just guessing. I've not played the full game yet, but I think the guy's killed his family, and now he's in the house himself, and the family are haunting him. I think that's going to be the twist, but I don't know. That's a guess because it's a wee girl that's haunting you and a woman. Like a big witch woman that's chasing you about, which I think is like the wife, and then you've got this wee lassie that's chasing you about. So I'm pretty sure that's his wife and daughter that he killed. And you're in this big mansion, but obviously it's all like it's not how he remember. Like when he lived in it was this like nice mansion. It was all like done up and stuff. Now it's like all like falling apart and creepy and shit. So yeah, you're kind of in this mansion. You're trying to do like puzzles. You need to like work out. Like it'll give you a clock with like certain times, and then it'll give you like a book, and then it'll be like right. I took the dog out at this time, and then I went to the cemetery at this time, and then I went to whatever. Then you have to like put it in order. So it's like right, you went to the park first at this time, and then you went to, and you have to like, reorder it all. But while there's this witch woman coming up and down the corridor looking for you, so it adds a bit of attention to like the puzzle, and then like you'll be like halfway through a puzzle, and even better, you'll be like nearly finished a puzzle, and you've only got like two more things to do, but you can hear her coming, and you're like, oh shit, I need to stop and hide under a table, and then wait till she pisses off, and then you're like, right, she's gone, and then you can get back out and finish the puzzle. But sometimes you're like when you're nearly done, you're like, do I have time to just do this before she? And you're like, wait, done it, and then you need to like run away before she like chases you and shit. So aye, it's good. They're also making it for VR. I wasn't playing it in VR, but I can imagine it being super creepy in VR. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the full game. It was just a demo, so it was like the first 3 levels, but that was good.
What was the Silent Hill game? It kind of looks like PT. Was that Silent Hill, the PT game? It was a kind of a wee demo. Like there was a wee girl and there was a bigger girl chasing you in that one. Is that kind of the same feeling?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, do not open as sort of PT. There's certain parts of it that were a bit PT, but I also think that every horror game since PT has tried to be PT. Like I feel like everything just rips that off. But yeah, right.
No, but it's good to have that kind of. I think now like games now are like realizing like horror is a kind of avenue to go down. Like a lot of people probably were scaring away from horror because like horror's scary. We don't want to buy. People are not going to buy it because it's scary.
The now is a good time to be a horror game fan because you've got the Callisto Protocol coming out in December, which is the Dead Space kind of one, and then you've got the Dead Space remake coming out in January. And then there's another horror game coming out next year. It looks good. I can't remember what it is, but there's a lot of good looking horror games that are coming out now. So it's like that's a good time to be a horror fan. Also, it's a good time to be a fan of horror movies. 2022 has been a really good year for horror movies, and the last thing I want to talk about is a film called Barbarian. Don't know if you've seen it or anything about it.
No, is that the Skarsgård's son?
Yeah, so Bill Skarsgård's in it. It's a type of movie. So, well, it's a type of movie that I would actually say don't look anything up. Like, I'm not normally the guy that cares about spoilers. Like, you know me, I don't give a shit. But this movie, you're better going to just know nothing and just going with it, just going for the ride, because.
Don't even watch a trailer.
No, you can watch the trailer. Yeah, watch the trailer. The trailers are okay, I think. But don't like look up on Reddit or don't look up on IMDb or don't look it up on like any of that. The start of the movie starts off this girl turning up to a motel, an Airbnb, and it's a dead of night. She's in Detroit for a job interview, and it's pissing with rain. So she gets out of the motor, she goes up to the door, and she's trying to put the lockbox code in, and it won't open. So she's like, God damn it. She goes back to the car, and she's loading up the code, and then she puts that in, and then the lockbox opens, there's not a key in it. And she's like, oh, for God's sake. So she's phoning the person that owns the B&B, and she's trying to get through, but it's like the middle of the night, so there's no answer. She's just getting an answer phone. She's pure raging, and she's ready to walk away, and then a light goes on in the house, like a light switch is on. And she's like, oh yeah, so she rattles the door, right? She's champing the door, and Bill Skarsgård opens the door, and he's like, you've got this book for the night? She's like, yeah. And he's like, what are you talking about? I've got a book for the night. She's like, no, you don't. And he's like, I can show you. No. So he brings up the confirmation in his phone, and he's like, there, it's there. And she's like, I've got it in this website. Like, and he's like, oh, I done it on a different website. So like, oh, what we got to do? Like, so he's like, moaning out the rain, it's pissing me rain, one will sort it out. But she's like, I don't know this guy, but do I want to go in? So she's like, right, okay. So she goes in, and he's like, right, you can. He's like, the bathroom's just down there if you want to go and like wash up. And he's like, and don't worry, there's a lock on the door so I can't come in. And she's like, why would you even say that? Like, he says things like that, and he's like, when she comes, he's like to her before she goes in, he's like, do you want a cup of tea? And she's like, no, I'm okay. And then she comes out, and he's like, oh, I made you a cup of tea. And she's like, thanks. And she doesn't drink it. And then later on, he comes to her with a bottle of wine, and he's like, I know she didn't drink your tea earlier, because I get it. He's like, I wouldn't have drank it either. I wouldn't trust me. You don't know.
Here's why.
I'm a stranger. But he's like, I've not opened the bottle of wine yet. It's still got the lid on it. See, I wanted to open it in front of you so that you didn't think I was doing it to it. And it's just, he says things like that, you're like, and it's that way that he's not like, you don't know if he is a creep or if he's just awkward. Do you know what I mean? And it's, you just don't know. Like, he seems nice, but there's just something about him that's off. You're like, and she stays the night, and he takes the couch and she takes the bed, and during the night shit starts happening in the house, like doors start opening and shutting and stuff, and she doesn't know, she wakes up and she doesn't know if it's him that's doing it or if there's something else in the house with them, and then it just kind of goes from there. That's all I want to say. That is honestly like the first 15 minutes. See, after that it just goes, you think it's going one way and then it just goes another way, and it's brilliant. One of probably my favourite horror film of the year. Probably.
I just noticed Justin Long's in it, so that's going to be fun.
Justin Long's. I'm not going to say anything about his character. You need to just watch his character.
Because I remember,
he's great.
I was watching Jeepers Creepers the other day, and I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, Justin Long's always been in a kind of weird indie horror movie.
Yeah. Well, Barbarian is one of the best. I love this film. I would recommend it to whether you're a horror fan or not. It's just a clever bit of filmmaking, and
it's a short movie. Is it like a kind of like horror movie that's only like an hour and a half, or like?
I think so. I think so. It's like an hour and a half. But it's clever the way. It kind of. I don't want to talk about it too much, so I give it away. It's clever. It's well written. Yeah. So and I would rewatch it as well. So before we're going to move on to topic in a wee second, but do you have anything else you want to talk about, Chris, before we do? Because I feel like I've been hogging.
No, I mean most of the stuff I've kind of just. Right, I can go over the Tales of the Jedi, which was the Disney animated film.
Yeah, did you watch the rest of that? You said you watched a few of them.
I did. I watched. There's split into 5 episodes, I think. So it's split into the Dane of Dooku saga of what actually happened to him. It's actually quite interesting, like how, like in my mind, that it was just Christopher Lee was always just the bad guy. But it's interesting to see why he developed that.
Right.
Like he was always against. Like the whole, if you'd know into Star Wars, you're going to clock off in a minute. But like if like the council was the kind of the main element of the Jedi Council was the main element of deciding what's right and what's wrong for the Jedi to do, blah blah. And some obviously Jedi's like Liam Neeson's, I can't actually remember his name, Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon Jinn was always kind of against that, and you saw that in the first one, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
But he got that from Dooku, because Dooku was always against, like, we're here to save people, not to solve like political issues.
Not to get involved.
Not to get deep, but we're here for humanity. We're here to help people and stuff like that. We're not here to just save somebody that doesn't need to be saved. But it shows how he declines, and also it's a nice wee element of, it doesn't actually say it, but you see like him grieving for his Padawan,
right? And
he's like just staring at the kind of the Padawan tree and stuff like that, and then it's just like, oh crap, he's got Qui-Gon's funeral's happening, he's not going to go there, and then it starts the kind of beginning of, this is how he turns to the dark side and stuff.
So like Dooku and Qui-Gon used to be like Anakin and Obi-Wan? Like, he was his...
Dooku was his master and Qui-Gon was his apprentice.
Right.
And also you get to see Yaddle, which is the female version of Yoda.
And she does Alice Howard, right?
It's the director.
And she speaks normal?
She speaks normal, so it's like...
So Yoda's just a freak?
Yoda's just a
weird guy.
He's either Yaddle is younger, or
did I not
he
hear
is
something?
Like Central Yoda.
Did I not hear something though that it was actually the Knights of the Old Republic that spoke like that, and that's where he gets it from? I don't know if that's true, but I feel like I read that somewhere.
That is like tinkling a little bit. Yeah, I think you've
I don't know.
got some truth to that, but it was weird because you've not really seen another green creature like Yoda speak, and you're like, oh, so they're not unique.
Aye.
I mean, some of the kind of like touching moments. I don't think if she was to say it as Yoda, it wouldn't hit the same way.
Yeah.
So, but it was quite dark for a kind of 10-minute cartoon, like because obviously spoilers. Dooku kills Yaddle, in a
Oh,
kind
really?
of very weird. I don't know. He may have not killed her, but at the end of that episode, she gets crushed at one point, and then she survives that,
Right.
and then he just kind of slices her.
Nice.
But then that's the beginning of him and that Sidious working together.
Right.
But it just kind of bridged that gap, and then the other one was basically showing Ahsoka, which is Anakin's apprentice in the Clone Wars, kind of growing up and training and being better and realizing that the Council's ways aren't the best ways to train, so Anakin's going to train her, blah blah blah. And it's just basically showing how she becomes the Jedi that she was. And at the very end, it kind of an Inquisitor's like finding her. And it's just the way you see the level of skill. Like, so an Inquisitor's basically like a fallen Jedi or a fallen apprentice.
Yeah.
And he's coming in, and you think, oh god, he's going to be a really fearsome force. And he basically I think he gets one strike at her, and she basically pulls a lightsaber off him and then just slices him. And you're like, oh, right, okay, so she's a completely superior character. Like, she's like level 20 in an RPG, and he's level 1, and he's charging at her. And you're like, all right, no, it's no go here. But it just kind of bridges that wee gap and stuff. But I heard Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, the creators of this, they're basically creating a massive sitemap of basically everything. So they're basically going to be doing those wee stories throughout the whole generation of whenever they stay on. So they want to make sure everything connects and stuff like that. And that's going to be an insane task. Like from like what's happened so far, and even the book lore and all that jazz. Like, it's going to be a hard. I would love to see that. That would be that Sunny Philadelphia meme of just like next to that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was worth a watch. If you're interested in Star Wars and anything like that, give that a watch.
Right.
But I also watched, since it was Halloween, I was watching. Did you ever watch that Dracula series on the BBC?
No, I didn't. No.
Wait, I'm going to muck up his name. It's like Clay's Bang or something. He was Dracula. It was, and Dolly Wells was Ada Van Helsing. It was really interesting. I never watched it when it came out, but I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, oh, this is a unique approach. So each episode was like, it was in Transylvania in the first one, and the whole root of the story is getting to London.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the first episode, he was in Transylvania. The second one, he was on the boat, and then the last one, he was in London.
Right.
But the unique twist is that he's been there for centuries. So when he starts off in the first one, it's like say it's the 17th century, I don't know. And then when he gets to the last episode, he's in 2020.
All right. Okay.
So it's like he's like came out of like a weird environment into the present day, and he's not used to people having cell phones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice wee intake of Dracula, but that was a really creepy. The first episode was really creepy. Like, they had like people in boxes and stuff, and it had like zombies and stuff. I didn't realize Dracula had zombies.
Yeah.
But he was basically feeding off of these people, like, for a longer period of time. You know?
Yeah.
It was kind of but he was very charismatic. Like that Dracula, I thought he was really good. The BBC one. But I would definitely give it. I would say you should watch it, but each episode is like an hour and a half.
Oh, really? Right.
So it's like quite a strong
commitment
slog if you want to go through it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Right. So yeah, like we said, we're going to just move straight on to the topic now. And we're going to do fantasies, best fantasies. I might decide as I go, and I might not do all these, but yeah, we're going to do a few anyway. So I'm just going to say I've got 6 lined up here. As I said, we might not go through them all, but we'll see how we go. So the first one that I've just sent over to Chris is the theory that The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad are set in the same universe. Now, this is an old theory. This is a theory from like 10 years ago. But the reason I wanted to bring it up was because I wanted to kind of talk about how those shows have aged over time and how my stance on this theory has changed. So we'll go through the theory first. Chris, have you heard this before?
I haven't. No. Like, is it
No.
like so? Is the Breaking Bad or how the Breaking Bad and the Walking Dead are connected? So is it Breaking Bad first and then Walking Dead second? Obviously, has to be.
Yes. Yeah. So the kind of overall theory is that the drug that Walter White was making, the blue meth, is kind of responsible for turning people into zombies. That's like the loose theory, because in The Walking Dead you never really find out how they came about. So yeah, so in the early seasons of Walking Dead, I think it's the first season, when you're introduced to Daryl and Meryl. Meryl has like a bag of all his drugs. He's got like a clear bag, and it's got like his different shit in it, like his weed and his whatever. And he's got a bag of what looks like blue meth. He's got a bag of blue meth. Now, the only person that we know on TV that makes blue meth is Walter White.
Heisenberg.
There's also another part where Daryl. This is after Meryl's dead, and it's when Daryl's caught about with Beth, and he's telling her about Meryl's drug dealer, and he describes him as a janky little white guy, a wimpy tweaker, who pulls a gun, sticks it right here, and says, "I'm gonna kill you, bitch." And the theory is that he's talking about Jesse. He's talking about Jesse Pinkman. So there's a few connections. The Challenger, the Dodge Challenger, the car, which is the car that Walter White buys for his son, Junior. He buys them. Remember they buy one each. They end up buying a Challenger each. Well, the Challenger is also seen in The Walking Dead when Glenn drives out of Atlanta in the Charger in the first season. And there's loads of different. There's things about Negan that's a connection. I don't know about that, and then there's things about Gus Fring potentially being a zombie because he was like awake after he died because he walks out straight his tie. But I guess stuff like that's just bullshit. But the thing about this theory, you can look it up for yourself on the site. But the thing that I think was most interesting about it, I used to want this theory to be true because I loved both shows, and I used to be like, oh, can you imagine this would be so cool if there was like a crossover episode, or like if in Walking Dead, Walter White's dead, but like somebody from Breaking Bad turned up, like Saul Goodman turns up in The Walking Dead, like that'd be heavy cool. But see like 10 years for that and not being a dumb teenager anymore and stuff, I'm like, Breaking Bad was such a superior show that even linking it to The Walking Dead, that is such a insult. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, see, when I think about like how pristine Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are, The Walking Dead shite. Like compared to Breaking Bad, like that's not even.
Do you think that's why? I know, like Vince Gilligan. Is it Vince Gilligan? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I know he's like a brilliant writer, but do you think it has a little bit of element of it's caused the show finished? Do you feel that, or do you still feel like they're not comparable? Like, see if they were finished around the same time, do you think you would have a different perspective?
I think so. I don't know if that's what you're trying to say, but I think if The Walking Dead only went for 4 or 5 seasons and then wrapped it up, it would be a more respected show. It would be well remembered. Maybe not to the extent that Breaking Bad is, but it would be like, I remember that show, The Walking Dead, that was good. It wouldn't be like, oh my god, The Walking Dead's still on. Like, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have that like drag feel to it, which I feel like it does. Whereas if it was just like in and out, kind of like 4 or 5 seasons and done, then it would be more. Yeah, I feel like when you think about it, the most iconic for me, a lot of the most iconic shows, they know when to wrap up. Like they know it's when a show drags on to. Look at Scrubs. Scrubs was a great show, and then they'd done that last season where they were like at the med school, and it was just garbage. And it was like know when to say enough's enough. Like know when to walk away, and it's like. I actually think there's one of my favourite TV shows of all time. Maybe my favourite is Father Ted, and I think Father Ted's so well remembered because they'd done 3 series and then sadly he died, so they couldn't do any more. But I feel like that's what makes it so iconic because there's only that amount. It's like there's not too much. It's not like I like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but there's 15 seasons of Always Sunny, and it's like I
It's
don't know.
hard to jump on.
Something's more special when there's less of it. See, the more of it there is, the less special it is, I think. So,
Just in recent years, like Genghis, cause like the demand is so. I'm guessing The Walking Dead must have a good viewership, like for that to kind of continue.
well,
Like
they're
the
doing spin-offs. Like they must be making money because they're doing a spin-off with Rick and Michonne and a spin-off with Daryl
yeah.
and Carol or something, and
But like
they're doing all these spin-offs.
with Father Ted, like I know he died in like in the early night or the late 90s or
Late
something.
90s, I think. Late
Aye.
90s, I think.
And like I know probably that if he survived, maybe the show might have went further. But I think maybe nowadays,
And
like see, even just the Sunny thing, like it is 15 seasons. Maybe there's like it's just so many people in the world now are just watching all this stuff. Like they've got nothing else to do.
I think it's a lot to do with
It's just
networks.
fun.
I think it's a lot to do with
Yeah.
networks, and I think it's a lot to do with because we weren't going to talk about this because we weren't doing news, but Westworld's just been cancelled because people have stopped watching it. I think HBO are the type of show that won't keep a show going if it's not doing good numbers. Netflix are also the same because they kill shows all the time.
Oh, they kill shows before they've even started.
Yeah, they're like killing shows. So like, I think it depends on the network, and I think it depends on the creator. So like, the creators behind The Walking Dead have changed. The original creator was Frank Darabont of the TV show. The original creator was Robert Kirkman, but the two kind of series creators were Robert Kirkman and Frank Darabont, who did like The Green Mile and Shawshank. Obviously, brilliant director. He done the first two seasons of The Walking Dead, and then he left it, and other folk took it over. And I think since then it's became less, I don't know, less vital and less important and more just kind of like a dumb TV show. Like, I don't know, there's no much, it's not as tight, it's more,
See,
it feels a bit
like
more just, I don't know, like background noise.
the first two seasons, I would say, are the best two seasons, and then it does kind of just drag on because like you get
Yeah.
that relationship and kind of ending on season two, where like
I like the first four seasons. I think after they leave the prison, that's when it. I think after they leave the prison, it takes like a dip in quality, and then I think the bit where it does get quite good a wee bit after because they meet these cannibal people and they end up fighting with them and stuff. That's quite good.
oh, I've never got that far with the guys that have like they have like a kind of junkyard. Is that where that bit is?
I think so. I've
never got that far.
And then eventually they meet Negan, who I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Negan's an interesting character, but I feel like see that cliffhanger where Negan was like going to kill one of them and then they'd done the summer break, that was like the death of that show. See, for that point, it's not been as good since, it's not been as special since then. And I feel like the introduction of Negan like is really where you should stop watching. Like, see if they stopped the show then, like if Negan, it's a bit dark, but see if Negan just killed them all, like that would be a ballsy ending, and it would be like, right, that's the story. Like
that would,
I don't know,
exactly.
I just
that's a memorable ending.
I
like,
just dragging it out. It's just like, oh, come on, like I don't know.
I think even now they've tried. I've seen some clips of it recently. Like they've redeemed Negan from what he done, and it was like brutal what he done. So it's like if that's an actual,
that's how you know it's gone on too long.
That's actually a good re-ending you've created there. Just kill them all. Like even though it's dramatic, just do it.
Anyway,
the show.
What do you think of the Breaking Bad Walking Dead theory? Do you want it to be true or think it's all a shout?
I think no. See if it was. See when you were younger, aye, that's brilliant. The connected to shows that you love, but see now, you don't want to be touched. You know, that's like the Saul Goodman show that you watched, Better Call Saul. You wouldn't want that to be connected to the Walking Dead's history. So
yeah,
I mean, it's interesting the fact that like I didn't know blue meth was an actual thing. Is it not just food colouring?
No, it's because I can't really describe why it's like that in Breaking Bad, but I can't remember why.
The show. I thought it was just food colouring.
So I've sent you the second theory. Talking of things that used to be special and aren't special anymore, Pixar movies. I feel like they've really lost their charm recently. But this theory only really encompasses the good Pixar movies. It takes you up to 2013, Monsters University. I do kind of feel like since then, who cares? So I sent you a link to this website, and it is a kind of like click through thing. But it's really quite clever. So it's basically saying that all the Pixar movies are taking place in the same timeline, and the same story, in the same world, at least up until Monsters University. And it takes you through the years. So the earliest one, the first film that starts the whole thing is Brave, the one set in Scotland with the lassie with the bow and arrow. So you've got the mother turning into a bear, and you've got the witch, the old woman that's a witch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's cutting about, and then it jumps forward to God. What are all these? I forget all these connections. So it jumps forward to the Incredibles. Superheroes cut about. This is in the 50s and 60s. And then this is what powered the toys to come to life in Toy Story, was the Incredibles. It's to do with 0 point energy, which is a electromagnetic energy in a vacuum. It's been years since I've watched Incredibles, by the way, so I'm going to be a bit hazy on this. But basically, that energy was what gave toys their sentience, right? So, 1995, toys come to life, and they kind of like, yeah, they learn that human love is like an energy source. So this is important for Monsters Inc. So
Yes.
yeah, the Toy Story movies happen, and then they start to like, the second Toy Story deals with this more. They kind of start to hate humans for like abandoning the toys.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of get fed up with the idea that they're being abandoned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Finding Nemo, 2003, we found out that fish are incredibly advanced in this universe, and that humans are polluting the ocean. Dory was, and that humans are experimenting on the fish. Dory was one of the animals that was experimented on, which is why she's forgetful. More resentment is growing towards humans in this universe because they're polluting the environment, stealing fish. Animals begin to become more curious and carry more humanistic characteristics. Ratatouille. And Ratatouille, Remy discovers his love for cooking and displays human characteristics, like walking on his back legs, cleaning his hands, reading, cooking. That's the first time we see that. This is the first time we see a thing that can't speaking to a human and like interacting with a human, the way that Remy and the chef guy do. Linguini, is it? Yeah, but again, the rats hate humans and Ratatouille. So 2010 brings us to Toy Story 3, and it's all about like humans abusing toys. How like Lotso was like pinned to the front of a car and stuff and all that shit, and like the daycare, the kids pure like mess up the toys.
Yeah.
So he hates humans, and he like straight up like pretty much wants to kill humans. Yeah, and then thingy like obviously fight through that, buzzing with it and stuff. So yeah, then we get to Up. So Up, how is this connected? So this is to do with it's not saying it here. This is to do with like again the dogs and the humans and stuff, right? But Up, there's a company in Up called By and Large, I think they're called, and they end up becoming they're pretty much like Tesla. They're like our university's version of Tesla, and they end up being responsible for Wall-E when the world gets so polluted that all the humans move away and stuff. So like the company and Up end up going on to Wall-E. So yeah, this is when the apocalypse happens, obviously. So animals then rise up against the humans to stop the pollution. The machines jump in and help the humans, and then they win the war. But since the world's now inhabitable, all the humans disappear. Like in Wall-E, all the humans disappear, and the only thing left on Earth are the machines, which are the cars in cars. That's why the cars in cars can speak. Right, so we go through Cars 1 and 2. Right, like you see in Cars 2, you see like Japan and Europe and stuff, and there's no humans; it's all cars. Right, so the world's now only inhabited by cars. Right, and then eventually the machines all die out. They all like because there's no way to maintain them. There's no humans. The cars all eventually die and like whatever. And the only thing left on Earth is Wall-E. He's kind of like Jesus, obviously, because he can restart humanity. Obviously, because he plants a shoe that contains plant life, and then it grows a tree, and then that restarts the universe. Which brings us up to Bug's life. Bug's life is not set in the present day, not set in the past; it's set in the future. And Bug's life is like the restart of humanity. So like when we're all bugs, and then I think they evolve. I think they're trying to say they evolve out of the monsters in Monsters Inc. Is that what they're saying? Something to do with a different dimension. And
that
the monsters...
is interesting because in the Bug's life they do have like restaurants and stuff, but it's like inside a can, you know.
So the theory in now is in Monsters Inc. The doors that the monsters open to go into the kids' rooms. That's not like a door between dimensions. It's a door between time. It's him going back in time. The door's taking them. because the world now is inhabited by monsters in the year 4500 or whatever we're on here. It's all monsters, right? Like Monsters Inc. But those doors take you back to like the 2000s or whenever Monsters Inc. was made. And then that's when you go back to haunt the kids. And then they steal the energy from the kids to power their city. And then in Monsters University.
Sugar, all right.
Well, no, that's Monsters University, and it takes you up to Monsters Inc., right? And then they're also stealing the energy. Now, this takes up to Boo, right? And Boo, there's a wee girl in Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Boo never got over Sully and became obsessed with finding out what happened to him, as you would if this big furry pal was there as a child and disappeared. So that would mess you up your whole life, right? So, so she devotes her life to finding him, right? And she remembers how doors. She remembers how doors are the key to finding Sully. So later on in life, she figures out how to time travel, right? Which is she goes back in time to Brave, right, to the very first one, and see the old woman in Brave. That's Boo. That's Boo as an old woman, because in Brave, in the old witch's house, she has a drawing of what looks like Sully. She's got this like wooden carving, and it's like this big bear thing, and it pure looks like Sully. And in Brave, the witch turns. What's the character called? Merida, whatever she's called, turns her maw into a bear because she's obsessed with Sully. And the thing about the time travel? The thing about the spells and stuff. That's how. Just because she's been back in time and she's a witch now. So Boo's the old woman, right? And she's obsessed with finding Sully.
That's insane.
So it's a full. It loops all the way back round to the start. So Boo is the witch, and that's what connects it all.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, right.
So sad.
But how like it's pure mind blowing. Like I heard that a few years ago, and I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, "That's insane."
No, is this true?
I don't know. It's just some guy on the internet. I don't know, but it's cool.
Oh, this sounds so true. Oh my god! It's because they do have the pizza car, the pizza van, and the pizza truck in one of the drawings. Wow. No, this is planning. This is what DC Universe should be using in Marvel. This is
right.
Go and talk to animators.
This is in depth,
and they'll know.
They'll give you some weird shit. Right,
that's insane. You just went through my childhood and just.
No, I'm going to get to more childhood ones in a wee second. But do you think there's something to it? Do you think the Pixar theory like it could be like legit?
Oh, it pulls on emotional strings. I think that could be. I mean, so she goes back to Brave then. So she
back to Brave because she tried to find Sully, and
she's using the doors, and then she finally finds and turns the Queen in Brave into a bear. Yeah, and it all loops all the way back round. Yeah. I didn't really probably do a great job of describing it there, but if you've got time to look it up, it's worth reading through. It's entertaining. Pixar theory.
So I've just sent you another link. This is another kids thing for your childhood theory.
Oh no, don't. No, it's a creepy.
Were you a Rugrats fan when you were young?
Yes, I am.
So you were. So what if I was to tell you that the Rugrats in that show were all a figment of Angelica's imagination, and they weren't real?
The whole family?
No, all the kids.
All the kids?
And they're all dead. So...
that is brutal. What the hell?
So
see like how... Danny? Like Danny? We'll
go through them all. So Chucky, right? Chucky, you know how his dad's like a pure nervous wreck? Like Chucky's dad's always like, oh my god. That's because Chucky and his mother both died in 1986. And the dad's just having a pure breakdown the whole time. Right?
Oh my god.
Tommy, this is dark. Tommy was born in 1988, but he was born stillborn. That's why Stu is constantly in the basement making toys for a son who never had the chance to live.
Oh no! I was going to ask about Stu, man.
That's why he always looks hungover and he's always making toys because he's like going through the grief of losing his son.
That is actually so. It is weird that you don't question how he looked like a borderline alcoholic. And that's
so the DeVilles, which is Phil and Lil, the twins, The parents had an abortion in 1990, and Angelica, obviously she was a child, so she was aware that they were pregnant, but she never found out if it was a girl or a boy, which is why she split them into two in her mind, and that's why there's twins, a boy and a girl.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
and
so
this is all Angelica. This is like her like imagination. Then it's not.
Yeah, this is all in Angelica's head, and it's because she has no actual friends, and she just pictures all these wee kids that she bullies because they're all like in her mind.
She's not. Oh, that's so sad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's. Oh my god. That's awful.
Yeah, this one's just horrible, right? It's just dark. Like it gets worse. Like, say if you read on, Angelica's mum actually died of a heroin overdose. Angelica was schizophrenic and bipolar because she was a crack baby. Like, it just gets more and more insane.
Oh my god. Oh,
Additionally,
man.
Drew, who must be Angelica's dad, Drew has depression, married a gold digging. Not going to say the word. That Angelica idolised because she fooled herself into thinking it was a real mum. Yeah, it gets so like messed up as you read on. It goes on to like how Chaz loses his mind and like I don't know if there's like child abuse involved. It gets dark. It gets really horrible. People are weird actually. See, as I'm reading through this, I'm like, this is really dark. Like Chaz apparently falls in love and marries a hooker at one point. Like what?
As you do.
I'll let you go Google that one yourself. But the basis of the theory is that they're all a figment of imagination and they're all actually dead. So yeah, that's a nice theory.
Do you know one way this could actually be a thing? It was going on, I don't know, for like 10 seasons or something, and they were still the same age.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's something else to do with it. Yeah.
So
yeah. So I don't know if we're going to go over whether or not that one's true because it involves dead babies. So I should put it out there and move on.
Yeah, let's swiftly move on.
But I'm not done ruining your childhood. So
that was good though. That was interesting. That was a shocker. That one.
So we've got another one that's based on the classic kids, but you can also enjoy it as an adult TV show, SpongeBob SquarePants. So I've sent you another link for this one, and the theory here is that the characters in SpongeBob SquarePants represent the 7 deadly sins. So, Mr. Krabs.
Sloth.
So we'll go through them. So Sandy's pride, because Sandy has a deep satisfaction from her own achievements. Sandy's quite up herself. She's proud of her home country where she came from and her scientific ability and stuff. Right, so she's pride. Greed is obviously Mr. Krabs. He's obsessed with money. He's all over like wealth or power. He fits us in perfectly. He's obsessed with collecting money. Peril is what? Sorry, Peril, who's Mr. Krabs' daughter. She's apparently a lust. Peril is just pictured as being boy crazy. Yeah, she is. And she's obsessed with male fish. Yeah, okay. So Peril's lust, apparently. Yeah, okay. Plankton is envy, which makes sense. Plankton's green, and he's obsessed with the Krabby Patty, the desire for the Krabby Patty recipe. So he's envy. Gluttony is Mrs. Puff, which is the driving instructor. And the teacher. Gluttony is the overindulgence of food. Mrs. Puff's showing to adore food from chocolate to pasta, and she's fat. Wrath.
That's it.
That's it. She's fat. Wrath is obviously Squidward because Squidward hates everything. Wrath is uncontrolled feelings of anger or hatred. Squidward hates his life, hates his job, his neighbours, and practically everything else but Bikini Bottom. So Squidward's Wrath. And then Sloth is Patrick because he's excessively lazy, unemployed, and lives under a rock, and he sleeps all the time.
Do you know, I never really thought about Patrick before, but he is unemployed. He does sleep under a rock.
Mate, he's my idol, man. I wish I was Patrick. what a life.
I know. That paid no taxes. It's just brilliant.
I know. There's also, this is a tangent theory, but this is interesting too. So there's a theory that the reason that they can all talk and that they're all like sentient and shit is because, and there is some truth to this, that Bikini Bottom is like a real area. And there was nuclear testing happening in that area in like the 50s or 60s, like just after around about the time of the Cold War, I think. They were doing nuclear testing in Bikini Bottom. So there's a theory that the radiation from the nuclear testing affected all these fish. Aye, a sponge and a bunch of fish. And this is why they can all talk and shit. Yeah, but yeah, somebody else says there's not that much to that one, it's just basically that. So this one though, this is dark. So
Jesus is
getting back to childhood stuff and getting back to the name Sandy, because I spoke about Sandy from SpongeBob. Sandy from Grease, remember Grease, the musical? Sandy from Grease
don't
is actually dead. Sandy's dead the whole film. and it's all the things that you see in the film is all like flash before her eyes as she lies drowning on the beach. So Sandy at the beginning of the movie, when she's obviously the beginning of the movie, you see her on the beach with Danny, and then she moves to America and goes to Rydell, and they have all the shit in Greece, right? So the theory is that Sandy drowned on that beach. She was in the water, she drowned.
Oh my
Danny
God.
Danny is the guy that pulled her out and was trying to bring her back to life. So he's like pressing on her chest and like giving her the kiss of life, and that's why in her mind she's in love with him, because like he's trying to save her in real life. So this is like as she's drowning, she sees all this. Yeah, and that's why at the end. Well, I mean, there's certain parts of the movie that are quite trippy, like the bit where Frenchie has a dream where Frankie Avalon sings to her, "Booty school dropout," and there's like angels and shit. And then there's the Grease Lightning video when they're doing Grease Lightning, it turns into like the white room where like they're doing the fancy car and shit, and then also none of that's real. So again, it's kind of like heaven. And then at the end, Danny and Sandy, after like the one at one and all that shit, they drive away from the fair, and the car starts flying at the sky like she's going to heaven. So yeah, Sandy's dead the whole time. How do you feel about that?
Wow.
It's dark.
I mean, it doesn't help that she did pass away like recently.
Yeah, R.I.P. Olivia Newton-John. Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
So weird.
Yeah.
Why do people come up with this? Like,
I know. Who thinks of this shit? Like, what's wrong with people?
These are people that want to ruin the great depiction of Greece.
So I've saved the last series. This is my favourite one, and it's not the darkest, although it might be based on the darkest kind of like universe. So you asked me earlier, is DC based? This one is DC based. I've just sent you a link. This theory here is that the movie Seven, David Fincher's first movie, I've just talked about Seven Deadly Sins. There you go. It's all tying in. So the movie Seven is set in Gotham City. And the reason for the theory is that you never find out. In Seven, they never say where it's set. You kind of think it might be New York or Chicago, but they never definitively say where it is. So the theory is that Seven is taking place in the period of time where Batman left Gotham. So Batman's parents have already been shot and whatever, and now he's pissed off to the mountains with Liam Neeson and he's getting trained. And this is when Seven's happening. And it's the theory that it's like a dark universe. There's no actual like super villains yet, but like John Doe, like Kevin Spacey's character, is obviously like a kind of early version of like could be like the Joker or like the Riddler, like a kind of guy that does puzzles and he's like a serial killer. And it's just there's just a lot of the same themes. Like he's about like Victor Zsasz as well. John Doe's about like Victor Zsasz, I guess.
I would say he's more like that sadistic kind of cutting up people and stuff, especially with the characters in Seven. Oh my God.
And like the city in Seven just feels like Gotham. Like there's so much crime. It's always raining. You wouldn't want to walk about yourself.
It doesn't say like in Seven. It didn't actually say what city you're in. You just know you're in America, do you?
According to this Reddit post, it's saying that in Seven they don't once mention the actual city that they live in, nor do their badges even show it. So their badges never even show you where they are. There's also the thing about in Seven when they're eating dinner together in Detective Mills' apartment. You've got the three of them, Gwyneth Paltrow and Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, and they're having dinner. And remember the train? They're like, he's like, "Oh, this place is great. How did you manage to afford this place?" And then the train goes by, and you have to hold everything because the train's going by. Well, in Batman Begins, in the Chris Nolan film, what's his name? Thomas Wayne built the train system around the city. So that's a train that's going by his apartment. Is a train that Thomas Wayne built. It ties in.
God, I would really see if it was a really dark DC universe. Oh my God,
Seven. Do you know where I think Seven could fit in? Like, it'll genuinely, I feel like if you watch Seven and then you watch Matt Reeves as Batman, like the Batman for like this year, they could be in the same universe. Like that could be you could watch that as like a prequel and then like the first movie. Like I totally think those two go together.
That's it, because it is like. Did Matt Reeves not say it was? He does love.
It's inspired by Fincher, yeah.
Inspired
and
by
Fincher done Seven, yeah.
So like it's.
Because Riddler in the Batman movie, Riddler's based on the Zodiac, and David Fincher made Seven and Zodiac. Yeah, there you go.
That is actually really. I mean, I don't know if it's just because it's DC and Fincher and Seven, like
it's all shit that you like, yeah.
That'd be brilliant, but It does, like, because even the Batman film, it does feel like you could go that dark route. See if you could, like, see if they done explored the seven deadly sins or something.
Yeah,
Like, it could be like you could go with Zaz, and it's like he's very. I don't know if they would go. Do you think they would go that far in a comic book movie, like the way they went with Seven? The guy was like dehydrated
I'd
on
love
his
that.
bed.
I'd
Do you think
love
they would
that.
do it? Do you think
Like,
they would go that
I
far?
want to see. I would love to see a film as dark as that. I guess the closest is probably the Dark Knight, like with Joker. There's some pretty dark stuff in that, I guess, but it's mostly just spoken about. You don't really see much of
Yeah,
it.
it's mostly like philosophic, like spoken about and either done in the back kind of thing. But
Yeah,
like to actually see it, oh, that would be. I think Matt Reeves would be the guy to show you it. Like I think he would do that. Like even if it's like a pure disturbing element, he would show you that.
yeah,
He
totally.
showed you an ape getting shot, and who wants to see an ape getting shot? And you know, nobody wants to see that. But Caesar got shot, and it's like, oh, everybody cried.
And like, I also think there's a certain moment in Seven where you see, sorry, the moment when you're talking about where the guy's dehydrated on the bed, the sloth. That moment always feels a bit like Seven's quite a realistic movie, except I feel like that part it feels quite comic booky. It feels a bit like
It
could
feels like
you
that.
you couldn't
How
really do that to
this?
somebody. You couldn't really have
No.
somebody like a bird like that thin and still alive. Like it just seems like I feel like that's the point where it seems like a bit over the
Yeah.
top, like out of our reality. But it would make sense in a Batman story. Like it would totally make sense in a Batman movie. Also, in terms of same actors, Mark Boone Jr., who's the big guy that played Bobby in Sons of Anarchy, he is in both films. He's in Seven, playing a detective that is like a corrupt detective that gives
Is it?
the two some files, and then in Batman Begins, he's the guy that Batman interrogates at the start. He's hanging him upside down or
Yes.
something,
Oh
and he's
yeah. Of
wanting
course.
information out of him.
I messed up the names there. Of course, Bobby.
So yeah, he's in the same. He's in both films, and the other link is that Morgan Freeman was in both films. So this is. I don't know if they're trying to say that Lucius Fox is the same character for 7 year old. Hold on, let me just read through because that does kind of break the theory. But it does say at the end of Seven. I'm sure does he not say that he's not going? This is like he's done. He's not being a cop anymore. He's going
He's
to give up.
finished. No,
But
no. I
yeah,
think does he not continue? I think he
who
continues after it, and
Somerset does he?
Somerset. I think he says, "Oh, there's no point," and I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I just
Maybe,
it totally.
it might be Mills that leaves because he's what happens to him.
It totally feels like the same city. Like the city in Seven totally feels like Gotham, and it could totally be a prequel.
See, no, see if they did do that. Like, I think that's what people are wanting. Like, and then Matt Reeves does say he wants to do a detective movie, but that's the theory that even though it's sickening, I would love that. Like,
Yeah, me too. That'd be so cool. Like, see if David Fincher. Like, I know that Matt Reeves' film is probably the closest thing we're going to get like a David Fincher Batman movie. But see if David Fincher was to like actually do a Batman movie and tie it into Seven, that'd be so cool. like imagine like Batman's looking through case files and you see like a case file for John Doe, and or you see like the slot, like the what do you call him, the Seven Deadly Sins killer or whatever you would call him. Like if there was just like a file in like Gordon's office and it's just like referring to like somebody was dehydrated for a year, and you'd be like, "Holy shit, it's all correct!" Like that'd be so cool, man. I love that shit.
I think, like,
Um,
see if like Fincher does do a lot of detective stuff. He does a lot of complicated stories and stuff. I think he would be a
Mindhunter.
decent Mindhunter. Aye, I think he would be. I don't think he would though. I think he was probably the kind of guy who says comic book movies aren't my thing. I think he
I,
would be that
I,
kind of guy.
I feel like he's also the kind of guy that he's not really. He doesn't really adapt much. The only adaptation that he's done, well, I guess Zodiac is a loose adaptation of Robert Graysmith's book, like the character that Gyllenhaal plays in the movie, but it's based on a real thing. The only like fictional adaptation that I can think of, he's done Gone Girl, which was a book, and he did was Benjamin Button a book? I've not even seen Benjamin Button
Yeah,
to be honest, but I think that was a book. And the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the one with Daniel Craig, that was also a book. So yeah, he does do a few like adaptations of like books, but more for the most part, it's like original stuff. Like it's like his own shit
his
that he
own
adapts. So, yeah.
Here's a question here. Do you think there's any kind of film that's up to would you maybe the Barbarian is, but do you think see from like Seven, see like the early 2000s and the early 90s, do you think there's a film that compares to Seven or in that kind of general? horror element.
Seven.
Because
The
7 was,
reason,
I love 7. Like, it's not. I don't think you could ever. I don't know if anybody is going to remake it, and they shouldn't. It should be slammed.
yeah, I, I,
Even
I
thinking
I feel like Seven is like such a important movie for like if you were like going to be a filmmaker or whatever, because it manages to establish so much in a short space of time. Like it does so much world building, and it's only like one movie. It's not even that long. It's like 2 hours long, and like you know everything about Brad Pitt's character and where he came from, who he is. Like it's so well written. You know about the city. Like you get a feel that they create this like world that's just like horrible and like grimy,
just through
rainy
the,
all the time. Like
just through the, and very gothic, like the library.
yeah,
Like it's very,
yeah.
just through the
The
environment.
gargoyles and shit. Yeah, exactly.
What,
The design, the fact that like I don't know if you've heard of this before, but see all the John Doe books that were all like written out, and it's all like this insane shit. It's like, oh, I ate his thing, I ate his liver, and I cut his legs off, and I done, and it's like all that, and then there's like drawings, like body parts and stuff. There was actually a production assistant that had to sit and write all that. One person sat and wrote like it's something like 2,000 pages, and like the intro. And the only thing they ended up getting used for was the intro to the film. See the intro when the names come up at the start, like Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman. You see some of the drawings like as the names come up, and then I think at one point Morgan Freeman flicks through one of the books. That's the only time you actually see them in the movie. But see the bit when they eventually find John Doe's apartment and Brad Pitt kicks the door in. And Freeman's raging. I see all the books; they were all full of actual like insane text that somebody sat and hand wrote. Like it's crazy. Like
that guy must have went through periods of
yeah. I hope he got therapy after. Like I hope he got therapy because he must have been pretty messed up. Like yeah, so I just love how like in depth Seven is. It's just they don't make films like that anymore. Like just so like meaty and so like deep.
Jake it is like Jake like. I don't really know. Like I know it's like the director is a really massive thing, but Jenka is like he's just a guy that people would just jump on board with, listen to him and do what he's doing. Or Jenka is a combination of the writers and everything.
I've heard Fincher is like maybe a right perfectionist. Like apparently, a lot of people don't like working with him because he makes you do like 100 takes of like one scene.
Really?
Like he'll make you read the same line like 100 times before he's happy and stuff, and people will go home knackered at the end of the day and shit. So like he'll make them. I've heard like who was talking? I think it was Amanda Seyfried because she was in that Mank, which I've not watched yet either. And I think she was. Yeah, I think she was saying that she did 100 takes or something like 200 takes of one scene, and they ended up using the third take that they'd done, and she done like 100 that. So like that's the kind of set you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. Like I love his movies, but I don't think I'd want to work with him. Man, that sounds intense. Like that sounds like too much. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Imagine doing
Kubrick,
that.
you know what I mean? It's kind of Stanley Kubrick, like the way he done with The Shining, like thousands of takes and stuff, and like especially when you're dealing with something like The Shining and like Seven, it's heavy, dark material. Like it's you're asking Brad Pitt to picture his wife's head in a box. Do you know what I mean? And like asking somebody to do that 100 times, that's pretty messed up. Do you know what I mean? Like you would need to be a bit of a messed up guy to ask. Even I know they're actors, they get paid and all that, but. Jesus, it's messed up.
Jenky's on a board of a psychopath, like a sociopath. Like I seen on like an interview, and he was saying like people are perverts or something like that, and he's like just he's staring at the camera, and I'm like, I
think that that's maybe a bit paintbrushy, like just banding everybody together. But I think that all great creators and auteurs are slightly on that spectrum of being
on the edge.
Borderline. I think there's a fine line between genius and madness. Do you know what I mean? I think like Quentin Tarantino's the same. See, when you hear Tarantino talking, he sounds like a crazy person, like in interviews and stuff. And like it's the same. Even Hideo Kojima, like the Metal Gear guy, when you hear him talking, he sounds insane. Guillermo del Toro is a weird guy. Like all these people that like their stuff so good, but there's just something about them that's just messed up. Stephen King, look at Stephen King. Like there's just all these folk that write this shit. You're like,
he looks like a guy he would invite you for like tea and stuff, and you would.
And you'd be like, no, no, Stephen, like, totally. Like, I think these folk. I think there's a fine line between being like a pure like auteur and just being a pure weirdo. Like, and I think sometimes that crosses over. Like, yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so that was our topic on fan theories.
I mean, I would say the Pixar one it shocked me. The Rugrats one really disturbed me, and I really enjoyed the 7. I really enjoyed that one. I really did.
Yeah, that's the Gotham was my favourite. That was the reason to do this topic. Was that one?
And the
I really
Grease
like that
one?
theory.
What?
Yeah,
What?
that's
Yeah.
dark. Yeah. I know the fantasies are never happy. They're always really depressing. Like whether it's Boo searching for a monster or whether it's Sandy drowning as she hallucinates. Like it's always pure dark shit or like babies.
I know it's never a
It's just
positive. Like
it's never a nice thing.
Who's trying to search for that Sully and she finds him? No,
Yeah, it's
like,
never got a happy ending. No, she becomes a depressed old witch and casts spells and yeah.
Oh,
But hey. So let us know in the comments what your favourite theory was. Let us know if there's any you haven't heard before, in which case I would, if you haven't heard any of these theories before, I would go and look them up yourself because I probably didn't do the best job there of
he was good. I was there watching the text. He was good.
But I would say they're all worth looking into, and let us know if you think there's like any credence to any of them, or if they're all just bullshit. Let us know if there's any fan theories that we didn't cover that you're like, oh, you didn't talk about that one, and that's a good one, because I like reading shit like that. I just like geeky reading bullshit. It's probably not true, but it's fun just to think about.
It's good to hear that people are building on the kind of stuff that already somebody's created.
Well, that's it.
Way, you know.
I think in a way, if I was like a creator that made like something like this, and then I read something like this, I would be pure flattered. I'd be like, oh, people are pure thinking about this dumb movie I made 20 years ago. Like people are pure like.
And in depth, it's like they've got charts.
And there's actual there's evidence and shit behind it. Like, especially the Pixar theory. Like the Pixar theory has its own website. So if you Google the Pixar theory, you get like the link to the actual website, and it's like a wee slideshow and shit. So
do you think now that's just what we say? But do you think Pixar are onto this and are like, do you know what? We're going to disturb these even more. Just shove stuff in, make it even worse.
I would, 100%. I would. Aye, so those were we got through them all. That's the 6 fan theories. But yeah, we'll be back next week to do news again, and we'll talk about actual current stuff. But it was fun just to do a week talking about. Aye, I enjoyed that. That was nice just to have a conversation about actual interesting fun shit. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Thanks for subscribing. You said we get 2 more subscribers, which is nice.
We got 2.
Keep dropping those subs. I should probably be saying this at the start of the episodes, but I will. Hopefully this episode actually records and you hear it. We'll be back next week to talk about something else. Jared might be on again, or might just be us too. I don't know. We'll do something. Courtney and me are going to do a few episodes for our consideration. We've got a backlog of movies that we've not spoken about yet, so they'll be coming out at some point.
You need to churn them
time to record. I know, man. We've been busy. We'll get there. We'll get into it. But yeah, cheers for listening. Cheers for telling a pal. Cheers for giving us a like and sharing it and shit. And find us on Facebook, and you can read my reviews on Fandom Wire, and I'll link to ones I spoke about today in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter at danboy95 for future ones, because more will be coming out constantly over the next few weeks. I'm a busy boy. But aye, all the best. See you later. Cheerio.
See ya.
Bye.